New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
Well, welcome. Good evening to everyone across the United States and around the world. Once again, it is time for another thrill-packed, guaranteed, always exciting edition of the Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am the Reverend Michael Mangus. I am broadcasting this evening from the top secret radio room, surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands of watts, in the extremely secure concrete bunker that only one person knows how to get to, and that is my producer, Diego Reyes. Everyone else has no clue, especially the chief inspirational officer of our network, the Reverend Robert Brzezinski. He has no clue where the top secret bunker is located, and we are going to keep it that way. Well, hi there. We're recording early this evening, and we do have a wonderful show for you. Again, please feel free to interact with us by posting your comments on Facebook or YouTube. And again, for all my shy people out there, I know you're out there because you write me during the week. Let me give you an email address you can contact me at. It's already up there, but pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. Always appreciate your comments, your suggestions for topics and other things. All right? Whether you like me or not, that's okay. You can still send me an email, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. So the purpose of our get-together every Friday evening is to get our cup of something, go ahead and put a few logs in the fire, and let's have a heart-to-heart talk about what is going on in the world. And again, my purpose here is for us to have a new thought about what is going on in the world and how we can play a part in bringing about a world that does work for everyone. And again, you don't have to agree with me. That's okay. But I want us all to start thinking about how that, for example, I'll be speaking about LGBTQ issues this evening. How can we get rid of any type of hatred or animosity towards that community within our own hearts? And then also to follow that up with action in the community. So again, we're not doing what they've done in New Thought in the past, which is go ahead and just say, well, let's ignore the news. What I'm saying is let's use the news to not only to point out some things that we need to work on, but also to enhance our own growth too. All right? We have a very special guest waiting in the wings in the green room this evening. The president of Holmes Institute, the Reverend Dr. C.C. Coltrain, who will be speaking on their wonderful educational program and also the brand new master's degree in wisdom studies that will start the fall of this year. My former dean, the woman who brought Holmes Institute to Ohio, and the woman who I gave more gray hairs to than my mother, the Reverend Dr. C.C. Coltrain, will be our guest here in the second half of our program. All right. In the news this evening, we begin off by acknowledging Pride Month here, beginning of June. Pride Month is on the horizon as the weather begins to warm. Pride Month spans the month of June each and every year. Pride celebrations include parades, festivals, parties, and are held throughout the month in cities across America. Pride Month commemorates the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in New York City and celebrates the LGBTQ community and the fight for equal rights. The Stonewall Inn, which is now a museum, where a police raid in 1969 triggered the LGBTQ riots in New York City, is a landmark in the history of gay rights. The following year saw some of the first Pride parades in Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and also New York. Today, Pride Month symbolizes an opportunity for visibility and also community. In addition to celebrating LGBTQ love and joy, it's also a time to highlight important policies and resource issues that the community faces. In 2021, NYC Pride banned law enforcement presence at Pride events through 2025 because of escalating violence within the LGBTQ community, perpetuated by the police officers and also in the trans community. And in 2023, LGBTQ organizers are combating more than that. Get this, 650 plus anti-LGBTQ bills introduced this year alone. It is going to be a very interesting Pride Month. This is analysis by CNN reporter Oliver Darcy. He wrote, "Prepare yourself for a Pride Month imbued with callous intolerance. Fueled by the right-wing media personalities and institutions like Fox News," and I'll also put my 2 cents in there, conservative AM radio, conservatives are waging a ferocious war on companies that express support for the LGBTQ communities, with hostilities against the celebration of gay rights swelling to levels not seen for many years. In effect, the supposedly anti-culture, cancel culture crowd is leading the summer's biggest cancel culture campaign. Boy, that makes a lot of sense. In recent weeks, right-wing media has smeared and indicted boycotts against Bud Light and Target, 2 jumbo American brands that have been thrust into the center of the toxic culture wars. Both companies have been relentlessly attacked over their shows of public support for the LGBTQ communities in recent days. Get this, the North Face, Kohl's, and you're not going to believe this, Chick-fil-A has come under assault in the expanding war. And of course, Governor Ron DeSantis's favorite company in Florida, Disney, has been an endless punching bag since it spoke out against the so-called Don't Say Gay bill in Florida last year. Written in black and white, the attacks look deranged, but it is precisely what some of the loudest and most influential right-wing media figures are promoting to their largest followings, with new self-generated outrage cycles generated daily. It isn't quite QAnon, but it is close, said the writer of the article, and it is being fed to the GOP base in broad daylight. You don't have to go to the dark corners of the internet to find this style of crazied commentary. It's available each and every day via mainstream right-wing outlets. And one of the purveyors of this is the Daily Wire's Matt Walsh. He has explicitly stated that the aim is to make the open embrace of the LGBTQ community harmful to brands. Get this. This is Mr. Walsh. He said the goal is to make Pride toxic for brands. Mr. Walsh, I'll just interject here. I thought you guys were against so-called cancel culture. Okay. Walsh goes on, he says, if they decide to shove this garbage in our face, they should know that they'll pay a price. It won't be worth whatever they think that they'll gain. First Bud Light and now Target, our campaign is making progress. Let's keep it going. Human Rights Campaign released a statement on Wednesday citing more than 100 advocacy organizations and allies condemning the right's use of extremist playbook of attacks. The report said their goal is clear: to prevent LGBTQ inclusion and representation, silence our allies, and make our community invisible. The coalition said these attacks fuel hate against LGBTQ plus communities, just as we have seen this year with more than 500, now they say 500, I said 650, more than anti-LGBTQ plus bills that restrict basic freedoms and aim to erase LGBTQ plus people. If that wasn't enough, once again, my great state of Ohio, in a community that's located northwest of me by 1 hour, a Bay Village, Ohio priest faces backlash after he discusses LGBTQ controversy during a Sunday sermon. A Bay Village priest is facing backlash after saying that the church is under attack and referencing a pro-LGBTQ nonprofit in a sermon on Sunday. The mass was interrupted by someone who was a former parishioner, stood up and challenged the issue. Let me just say this, that again, the individual did not interrupt Father. They went ahead and they did it after he was done. And later, the police were called to an incident outside the house of worship. During a service at St. Raphael Parish, the Reverend Timothy Garou, who is the church's pastor, referenced the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence being awarded the Community Hero Award by the Los Angeles Dodgers for their service to the LGBTQ community. This is what the good father said. He said, look at the Los Angeles Dodgers. Look at what's happening, defaming the name of Jesus Christ, defaming the name of every Christian here on earth. It just burns a hole in my heart. It angers me and embitters me, and it should you too, he said during his homily, which was live streamed online and then later taken down. For those of you who are don't know, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence is a California-based nonprofit that uses drag performances and religious imagery to satirize the Catholic Church and also to raise money for the LGBTQ community. I don't want to give these people a name, Guru said. I don't want to give them much credit, but it's happening, and it's also being affirmed. I want to cry. But we have the Spirit. We have the Spirit of the living God who is upon us, who is with us, who is among us and within us. I'll break in with commentary there, Father. It's also true for the LGBTQ plus community also. So afterwards, a trans woman by the name of Avery walked up to the altar, approached the microphone, and condemned Garou's sermon. She said what she needed to say, and then she stepped down. 3 men then attending the service approached Avery and led them off the altar. This is what the diocese says. The Diocese of Cleveland, of which Akron's also a part of. In a statement, the Cleveland Diocese says that people who disagree with the church's teachings are free to do so, but are not free to disrupt the holy sacrifice of the Mass to express their opinion. The diocese also urged those who seek to defend the church to do so lovingly and without in any way threatening or committing violence. From reports, it is said that Avery and her family were threatened by a parishioner as they left and said if they show up again to the church, that they will be killed. Show me where in the teachings of Jesus it says that. I read, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. Okay. I go on with the Catholic Diocese. It says the Catholic Diocese of Cleveland applauds Father Guru for his courage and fully support him in calling on all Catholics to speak out when others disparage our faith and to fight hatred, not with violence, but by embodying Christ's love and proclaim boldly the gospel. This is the very reason, my commentary, the very reason why a majority of New Thought churches, practitioners, ministers, teachers are speaking up and speaking out, supporting the LGBTQ plus community. Hatred and bigotry need to end, period. The voices of love need to be louder than the voices of hate. Now, when I was in Pittsburgh a few years back, the Pride Parade had many corporate sponsors, including, of all people, Walmart and Comcast. Now, I did try to get my cable bill lowered, but they said they couldn't help me. Comcast was right behind us. And then in front of us was the self-driving car, of which I still smell the fumes today. This is in the staging area. Seriously, though, the voices of hate have many media outlets now, including most of the talk shows on AM radio. The corporate radio media has a part to play in this also. Why? It's because these shows draw dollars and also people to listen to ads. Greed is fueling this hate here. So myself, CC, and this network, we support our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. We will continue to speak the word of love, justice, and equality. Our centers and churches will continue to be a safe place to experience God as love and to truly live out the teachings of all the spiritual masters, especially Jesus. So no matter what I've said here, happy Pride Month. For those of you who drink, go buy a Bud Light. For those of you who shop, go to Target. Go attend a local Pride Parade. The voices of love must continue to be loud and strong. All right. Finally, in the news, a couple of news articles from Washington. The Senate passed a debt limit late on Thursday, averting a U.S. default. The legislation was passed by the House on Wednesday. It will be sent to President Joe Biden to be signed into law after the Senate voted 63 to 36 to pass the bill. Biden praised Congress for its efforts in averting a default that would have had global economic consequences. The time frame to pass the bill, their Congress was extremely tight with little room for error, putting enormous pressure on leadership in both parties as the threat of default loomed. Also in the news, student loans. The Senate passed a bill on Thursday to block President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. This means that both the Senate and the House now have passed legislation for blocking the program, which promises to cancel up to $20,000 of debt for the millions of borrowers out there. The bill now goes to Biden's desk for a signature, but the president has pledged to veto the legislation. Meanwhile, borrowers are still waiting a Supreme Court decision that will determine whether or not student loan forgiveness program can even take effect. The justices are expected to rule later this month or in early July, and federal student loan payments are also set to resume 60 days after the High Court issues its ruling, or 60 days after June 30th, whichever comes first. So my commentary is this: government does matter here. I encourage everyone to go register and vote. Again, my commentary, the student loan forgiveness program would have helped millions and would have helped the economy. So what do you do if you don't have a student loan payment? Don't you go out and buy the latest whiz-bang computer, or you go ahead and buy a new car or house? The individuals that we put in office matter. Government matters. I am so glad that cooler heads prevailed in this whole debt ceiling issue. Again, please go watch the program I did with Reverend Jim Webb last week on how to prosper during troubling times. And I know that the news is, again, saber rattling a lot here recently. Again, I think that you'll get a lot of good information. Okay. Hi there. This is the Friday evening fireside chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am the Reverend Michael Mangus, and we are going to go to break here in just a few moments. I'll read a couple of announcements and then we'll go. Glad to have you with us this evening. Again, we are recording this a little early. Please feel free, though, to leave your comments. We'll be more than happy to read them later, and also maybe even to respond to them also. Yours truly is currently parking himself at Summit CSL. For more information, please go to summitcsl.org. There and only there you will find more information about our wonderful Sunday broadcast, which is online at 10:30 Eastern Time. That's 7:30 Pacific Time. Yes, I know it's early for all my West Coast friends, but get yourself a strong cup of coffee and join us. It's a lot of fun. Our Sunday speaker, ladies and gentlemen, will be New Thought Media Network staff minister and all-around nice guy, the Reverend Michael Mangus. If I can't give myself applause, who will? So go to summitcsl.org for more information on how to join our Zoom call. Our service is also simulcast on the Summit Spiritual Center of Akron Facebook page. And our Facebook page also is past broadcasts of the Fireside Chat. And yours truly when he's praying on the New Thought Media Network. A couple of things I'm asking this evening from you. First of all, and this is something you can do for free. In your spiritual groups, in your spiritual study groups, in your spiritual book studies, tell others about the New Thought Media Network. That's all you have to do. Just tell them about what we're doing here, about the programs that we have here to enrich and enhance your spiritual life. And I'm also asking your support here too. If you go to ntmedia.org/donate, partner with us. We are doing a very important work in getting this New Thought message out to the world, this message of love, this message of peace, this message of empowerment. Again, we have the technology here to be able to really to reach the world from our own homes. So you can be a part of this by going to the donate page. And again, please give a very generous one-time gift. We do have bills that are coming up this summer because of the conferences that we're doing. Also, if you could make that a sustaining gift, monthly partners really make a difference in us setting budgets, in us, again, getting the equipment that we need to go out and to do whatever that we need to do, especially with the, with the conference season coming up. We have two conferences, New Thought conferences, not New Age, that are coming up here that, again, that we're going to have to cover somewhat with our expenses. So if you could help us out, please. ntmedia.org/donate. And thank you so very much. Okay. Waiting in the green room. Is it a green room, Cece? I can see you. It's not? Okay. Well, waiting in the wings here is my former dean and also the president of Holmes Institute, the Reverend Dr. C.C. Coltrain, and we will be speaking about Holmes Institute and also the wonderful program that they are debuting this fall, a master's degree in wisdom studies. So Reverend CC will be right with us. This is the Friday evening fireside chat here on your, and I mean your, New Thought Media Network.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Holmes Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
It is my honor to have this evening not only my former dean, but also the president of Holmes Institute, and also the woman who I probably have given more gray hairs to than my mother, the Reverend Dr. C.C. Coltrain.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe a few, Michael. Maybe a few.
Well, now I did, Dean Coltrain, I did do pretty well.
You did great.
For a rookie.
You did great. I've known you for so many years, and the change in you as a result of this philosophy work in you is remarkable. And getting through school was a huge deal, and I'm so glad you did.
Thank you. And again, thank you for bringing Holmes Institute to Ohio. Unfortunately, that the Dayton Teaching Center is no more, but we're going to do something about that.
There you go. There you go. It needed to happen. we trained some really fine ministers, and then I came to something else, which is what I'm doing now. I'm president of Holmes Institute, which is I'll talk a lot about Holmes Institute. And I'm also the director of the School of Spiritual Leadership, which is the campus-based program of which the Dayton Teaching Center was part. So I wear several hats. The accounting department and I joke that I have two heads, and I look good with both. So,
well, no, if they had to pay you, they would have to pay you for 10 people.
Thank you. I do a lot of work. I really do. It's been a busy couple of years, and I think the product from Holmes Institute is well worth the work and the wait.
Right. Yes. Also to the registrar, Dar Herford.
Yes.
Yeah. So Dar, yeah, I think she was also another one that was glad I was gone.
We're only glad to see students leave when they're launched on what is coming next.
Well, again, I just I just really appreciate you and Holmes Institute, and if we had difficulties or whatever, we worked it out.
We did.
So,
and you were a wonderful student. It was wonderful to spend time with you and the other students. And like I say, it's always kind of miraculous to just watch people go through this training, and something happens. As you know, we change, right? We change, we grow, we become more. And that's a wonderful thing to have a ringside seat to. I just came back from I want to thank you for your comments and news items tonight, because I just came back from the Ministerial Students Retreat, which is the all-campus retreat. All of our ministerial students get together, and they were such a powerful bunch and so diverse.
Yes.
It was remarkable to be in their presence and with them. And we talked about some real sacred cows, like toxic positivity.
Yes. Well,
and
yes.
When the it's all good stuff is clearly not the case. How do we hold that? And as you know, it's a paradox, because in some way it is perfectly perfect.
Right.
Even though there's stuff happening that we really don't like. It's paradox, and that's my favorite word, as you will remember from all those classes when I talked about it a whole bunch.
You mean paradox? Oh, okay, paradox. Okay, go ahead.
The other thing we talked about was trauma-informed care, how we care for the people of our world right now. The whole world has been traumatized by the pandemic and its aftermath, both economic and social and physical and health-wise and financially and all those other ways. There's also so much going on. There's so much hate out there, as you were saying, that it can really weigh on those of us who try to live open-heartedly. And there's also this giant thing that's happening on the planet with crazy weather and, places getting hotter and hotter, or rainier and rainier and windier and windier, and all of that weight on people. So we talked some about just how to be present in that state of trauma with people. And there's my favorite picture I keep in my mind in this regard is a little cartoon of Winnie the Pooh sitting on a log looking very sad. And Piglet comes up and sits down next to him and says, "How you doing?" And Pooh says, "I'm not good at all." So Piglet just sits there. And Pooh says, "What are you doing?" And Piglet says, I'm just here sharing space with you until you feel better." That's what we're supposed to do, is share space with people with love until they feel better. And we're starting to teach that more and more, and it makes me very happy.
One of the things I want to thank you for is that your encouragement to speak up and speak out during our ministerial training. You helped me find my voice.
Oh,
and I appreciate that. And that I think that, again, that this is, we've gotten people on during the show in the comments. I think it was about a year ago. Someone said, well, the reason why New Thought is declining is because this isn't the New Thought of the 90s. And, we're all positive, and we don't speak about social issues and so on. And the response is, well, I've had some people come up to me and said, all you folks in New Thought haven't had a New Thought in years. But so what we're seeing here, and especially what you were talking about with the ministerial students, is you're seeing again the shift.
Absolutely.
The change in that if we really do practice love and compassion, that part of that is being loving and compassionate towards all, no matter who they all. Okay.
Yep.
And again, the comment from the parishioner saying that he would shoot them next time that they would show up at the church in Bay Village. I don't see that anywhere in the scriptures. I don't see that anywhere in the teachings of Jesus. I see specific verses that says, love your enemies if you believe that they are your enemies, and pray for those who persecute you. And that's the reason why Holmes Institute is around, is because, again, that we need to be training spiritual leaders for a time like this. Your comment, Reverend Dr. C.C. Coltrain.
I could not agree more, Reverend Michael. It's so important that we continue to deepen in actually living the philosophy that Ernest Holmes came up with, because he also told us, if you'll remember, in one of his final speeches, Sermon by the Sea, he said, we have to stay open at the top, and we have to bring in new information, and we have to be able to look at the world with contemporary eyes and see that the old notion of all I have to do is my own work, and whatever was happening to us is the creation of our own consciousness. When you live in a world where privilege and prejudice and racism and sexism and homophobia are so apparent, it's clearly, no one signs up to be treated like less than human. No one.
No one.
And that's an act of a bigoted ego that is, it's the only way they know how to cope at the moment. And our job is to teach them there are different ways to cope, that no drag queen is ever going to bite you, that no gay person or shoot you. Exactly. It just doesn't happen. I suppose it happens occasionally, but not nearly with the frequency that angry men, white men particularly, shoot people up with guns. It's just the way it is. I mean, they're the ones who do it. And it's very disheartening and sometimes really frightening. And that's when I have to hold on the most to this philosophy, which says, if I live from that which is within me at my deepest self, it's pure love. And if I learn to live wisely, then I can take it out into the world and do everything I can do in my little corner of the universe to create that place where life works for everybody.
Yes.
And the more of us who do that, the more of that there is around, right?
Right. We're speaking this evening with the Reverend Dr. C.C. Coltrain, who is the president of Holmes Institute and also for is it the Center for Spiritual Leadership, or correct me on that?
It's the Centers for Spiritual Living School of Spiritual Leadership.
Okay, really good. So explain the difference between the two.
Our ministerial training program in Centers for Spiritual Living has two parts, and one is a distance-based online, what's more academic program, which is done through Holmes Institute. We also offer at Holmes Institute an accredited master's degree or certificate which will now be in wisdom studies to anyone in the world who has a an accredited bachelor's degree and wants to learn about how to live with wisdom. The other part of the ministerial training is our campus-based School of Spiritual Leadership courses, which are practical ministry, pastoral care, church financial management, how to teach adults science of mind, minister as speaker, things like that, how to do the day-to-day practical ministry stuff. And we believe that these two, the way they come together is they give people an incredibly strong foundation of wisdom of the world on which to stand, and the how-to nuts and bolts of how to do ministry in, and we're beginning to broaden that out a little too. You know, for a long time it's been focused on pulpit ministry, but we all know what's happening there, and there's so much new happening. Most of the students in the senior seminar this year have other plans, and there's some amazing ministry going on in the world in all sorts of different ways. So the two come together, and both parts are required for our ministers to graduate and be licensed. And they seem to really appreciate it. I know that for me, it was life-changing. It was life-changing. So, you know, I had a graduate degree, you know, but
Yeah.
learning what I learned at Holmes Institute was life-changing. And then the practical stuff was, and the connection with my classmates was life-changing in another way.
It gives the mind something to do while the soul develops.
Yeah.
That
And
was
it also
exploding
gives
everything.
infinite
Right.
resources to fall back on, and especially the new program. Can I talk about that for a minute?
I was going to ask you, I heard that there is a brand new program coming out this fall. Could you tell us more about it?
I would love to. I'm so excited about the whole thing. You know, Holmes Institute has been around for a long time. It is a graduate educational organization. And since 2003, it has been accredited by the Distance Education Accrediting Commission. Prior to that, it offered master's degrees, but it wasn't accredited. So when the former program, which was called a Master's in Consciousness Studies, was first created, it was really cutting edge. But time moves on.
Yes.
Knowledge changes. Teaching has become a whole new animal, particularly online teaching, because now we have 25 years of experience in it. And so I started working at Holmes in 2018, mainly to help complete its process for reaccreditation the last time, or the time before the last time. And when that was completed, the president then was Dr. Kim Kaiser, and he and I started talking about how we could improve and update and modernize the program. And then Dr. Kim decided to retire, and I became the president, and I hired immediately Dr. Greg Salyer, who is one of our teachers, and he is our chief academic officer. And he and I started working on trying to modernize one course at a time, you know, give it a modern class structure, modern pedagogy, modernizing its content, and then persuading the instructor to teach in this new way, because we've, as I say, learned a lot, and we know what's effective in distance education and what simply isn't. We also know that students have changed a great deal. They don't sit through hour-long lectures anymore. They go away, right?
or they put AI in there to take notes.
Exactly. Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a minute too.
Okay.
So we realized, Greg and I, that what we had to do was just start over and build a whole new program and scrap the old one, frankly. So that's exactly what we did. He and I had a shared vision that was incredibly powerful about what Holmes Institute could be. And the creative work that came out of that was powerful and quick. We had originally planned for 2025 rollout, 2025 rollout, but here we are, ready to go in fall of 2023. So as we were doing this creative work, we realized that what we've been doing all along, or attempting to do, is to teach wisdom. Wisdom was our product, if you will. of what we were trying to do. So we designed a master's degree in wisdom studies that is, once again, I'm glad to say, cutting edge. We reviewed it with a couple of educational professionals, and they said, this is what the world wants, and you are on the cutting edge of it. So yes. I'm thrilled. The courses are all created with the most up-to-date pedagogy possible.
So for those who that's a buzzword for.
Oh, sorry.
Pedagogy.
Teaching techniques and class structure and use of, things like shorter lectures, not long lectures, how you actually move the material into the student's realm is that pretty much encapsulates pedagogy. But Dr. Salyer just took a 1-year program that was, it's up to the minute from the Association of College and University Educators. And then he put all that, everything he learned into creating the courses, and they're gorgeous. They're multimedia. Each one has a little mini art show accompanying it. They incorporate reading, but not the way we used to, not here, go read 600 pages this week. Video, art, discussion, all kinds of things. That the courses are beautiful and the material is exciting. And he's given tons of resources for students who want to find information for their term paper, go deeper, or just noodle around in the wisdom of the world. And I think we've set it up so that one of the things that used to bother me a lot about the old program is the students didn't really understand why they were taking what they were, required to take.
Right.
And we've tried to map this out so that it's clear to students. There are 6 areas of learning. The first one is philosophy, which is the love of wisdom. That's literally what philosophy means. And in that area are courses like consciousness. The old program used to be called consciousness studies, but no one has decided what consciousness really is. So this course covers the philosophy of consciousness, if you will, as well as contemporary brain science, and a lot of other things to talk about this thing we know exists, and we know we have it, but no one can define it. The materialists say it happens because our brains are complex, and the idealists say that it is the ground of everything.
Yes.
So we have consciousness and the history of wisdom, the psychology or the philosophy of death and dying, the philosophy of love, and then each course each area has a rotating seminar kind of course. The next area is psychology, which is wisdom and the soul. We have wisdom and the soul, cross-cultural psychology, which I think is absolutely essential for ministerial students to understand. Meaning and creativity. How do we make meaning? That's the basis of human life, isn't it? The sacred, we have studies of the wisdom in the sacred texts of the world, the religious beliefs and practices, religion and culture, and then mythology. Because mythology is a big, giant word that is much more than the stories about the Greeks. Myth is something that is maybe not, how do I put this? Maybe not factually true, but true in the really deep sense of the word. Yes. And so a deep study of mythology is part of this whole idea of developing wisdom. We have a course area called imagination. That is the thing that we humans have that we, as far as we know, other animals don't. And it's a brand new area. Digital wisdom is in there. And that's where AI is, among other things, is going to be talked about.
Yes.
There's the imagination, the arts and literature. There's also another really beefy section called wisdom and leadership, which studies the theories of leadership. It studies, the sort of the mythology of leadership. There's a class in change surfing the waves of change is the way I think about it, and organizational communication. And then finally, there's a section called knowledge, which is a class in research and writing, and then the production at the end of the program of a thesis.
Okay.
New knowledge. And so we've given a coherent path to wisdom, because we believe, Greg and I particularly, that what we really need at this juncture in human history is not more artificial intelligence, but more human intelligence.
Absolutely.
And when we have human intelligence that's connected with the heart, that is wisdom, right? That is wisdom. And our goal is to train wise leaders for a world that is sorely in need of them. And so the new program starts fall quarter, which is not just around the road, just down the road. If people are interested in finding out more, they can email me at ccoltrain@holmesinstitute.edu. Applications are due by July 1st, although Dar, that wonderful registrar you mentioned, is kind of flexible.
Who is underpaid.
Yes, she is.
Who does the work of 10 people. Go ahead.
She does. Yep. And I just want to point out that it's the only master in wisdom studies that we've been able to find. And it is the least expensive accredited master's degree in the United States.
Absolutely.
And it is accredited. We just have a student starting a couple of students starting a doctoral program, one at Berkeley Theology, School of Theology, with this accredited master's degree. So I'm really excited to see how this all, with the teachers we've hired are wonderful. We have quite a few new ones. And Dr. Craig Chalquist, who's been very popular teaching his course on Speaking Earth, is going to be teaching 4 courses for us in the psychology realm, which is really wonderful. He is an amazing human being. And now that he has 2 PhDs, he's going to go get a DMin. And, I don't know how he does it. He's just an incredible man, very creative and very much into the heart and mind connection. And so that's what we're up to, trying for a lot of reasons. We want to be as relevant as we possibly can in the world. We want to take our philosophy out in ways that, aren't dogmatic or full of jargon, but are kind and loving and full of wisdom.
Yes.
And we, like I say, we really think that the world needs this innocence plus heart that is what wisdom is. And so that's why I'm so excited about offering this program.
Well, let me just get a word in here just for a second.
Sure, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. This is the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. We are talking with my former dean and, more importantly, my friend, the Reverend Dr. C.C. Coltrain. I wanted to say, you know what, I took a look at the website, and I took a look at some of the people that I met in the program. Now, are some of the, world-class teachers, is some of that going to be transferred then over to the Wisdom Studies program then too?
Some of it. Our teachers are all incredibly qualified in their fields. Some of the teachers who simply don't want to change the way they've done it, who like doing the 1 hour, we call it the Sage on the Stage model. We're moving to the Guide on the Side, because that's what students will do these days. That's what new students need. And so if they're not willing to shift, then they won't be teaching in the new program. But we have some really wonderful people who that's how they do it. And they'll be coming along, and they're all extremely, it's like Craig Chalquist. He's about the most qualified modern psychologist I know. He's just amazing and prolific and deep and wide. And so he's an exciting one. And of course, Dr. Sawyer is too. He is a beloved teacher.
Great teacher. I've had him before. Great teacher.
and
Yes.
a great creator of content. And one of the classes that in the sorry, I got bit by something. It's bug season up here in the Michigan Upper Peninsula. One of the classes in the imagination section is a course in literature, and he'll be exploring with the students what he considers to be the greatest novel of our lifetime, which is 100 Years of Solitude, which is an amazing book. I've read it 2 or 3 times throughout my life. And so he has a passion for those kinds of things and for art, which is why every class is a little mini art course. And it's art of all kinds. There is the course in sacred wisdom is a lot of indigenous art. The course in what did I call it? Wisdom. It's anyway, the technology course, wisdom and technology course. All the art is AI generated. It's really cool. It's really cool. And the course in wisdom and leadership is illustrated by a lot of really amazing paintings that illustrate, for example, the module on hubris is based on the story of Icarus, who many people will know. With his father, he built wings so that he could fly that were held together with wax. And Icarus, in his hubris, thought he could fly close to the sun. And of course, the wings melted and he fell in the sea and drowned. And so the art there is a painting by Brugger, which shows these little feet sticking up out of the water, which is Icarus. And everybody around him is just going about their work. His hubris has made him insignificant.
We have 2 minutes.
Okay.
So again, first of all, thank you for being my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the ministerial training that I had, mainly by you down in Dayton. That it really was cutting edge. That again, that the way that we've trained you thought ministers in the past has gone to the wayside.
It's gone.
So you brought that, again, that newness, and again, taking us out of the head, putting us right into the heart, and keeping us accountable for that. Just so many things. Again, Holmes Institute is not just for ministerial students.
Right.
If you want to, again, to get more information about this absolutely wonderful program, make sure you contact CC at Coltrain at holmesinstitute.edu. So again, you don't have a lot of time to get in for the fall semester, but there is still room. So one more thing I want to mention before I let her go here. We have wonderful internships here at the New Thought Media Network. If you want to learn about media more, then part of your ministerial training is going to be doing these internships. Come to New Thought Media Network. It's not your typical media internship. We don't have you going and get coffee and donuts and things like that. What we have you do is we put you right next to our people, our producers, our guests. We put you right into the action, and we also train you in the latest software too. So again, it's the whole idea of media ministry. This is a big thing coming up. So again, make sure that you contact us here at the New Thought Media Network. Reverend Dr. CC Coltrain, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's great to be with you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. We have got to go, or my boss is going to chew me
There you go.
Hold on here. Now, stay back in the green room so we can talk afterwards. All right.
Okay.
All right. So time for us to go here again. If you could, again, please support us at ntmedia.org. Go to our donate page. Again, that really, really helps us. We have so many wonderful things coming up here. Please, please, please be involved. Be involved in all that we're doing here. All right. So for the Reverend Dr. CC Coltrain, I am Reverend Michael Mangus, and I'm going to wish you a wonderful week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.